what we want to do today, we will do the project for, actually I open it here, for the polars. Last time we look into PyArrow. PyArrow works for us. Then we want to read the data, and we can read the data in memory, and then we can do operations. It's a very fast and efficient way of doing. And what we did with PyArrow, we're using Poetry to install all dependencies. And today we'll do the polars. And for the polars, I have a couple examples, but what I want to do, I want to copy Poetry for polars here. So we probably would need to add one more library to enable polars. Because here, if we can go packages, what I have, oh no, not log, but here. So I installed Python, PyArrow. Here I would need to add the polars, and then we can install it and we can see how it's going. But first, we can just review what is polars. It's high performance data frame library for data manipulation. The data frame, this is the structure that we use, very popular in Spark, in Pandas. The idea that it's like abstraction on top of data file, and you can do different transformations, apply the different commands, methods on the data frame. And this is a very common way how we can work with data if we're not using databases or tables and SQL for transformations. So just like, I think there are only two ways, the most common, either using the tables and write the SQL command with them, or you going with, for example, Python and using the data frames. The Pandas is the most obvious way of doing this, but sometimes you have performance issue, you can switch to PyArrow. And the polars, it's slightly different things. So it's like the data specifically for building data frame, and you can use PyArrow, or you can avoid use PyArrow. There are some bullet points. It's a data processing library written on Rust. Maybe that's why it's so fast. Rust is way faster than Python. It might use Apache Arrow. There is integrations from Apache Arrow to polars and from polars to Apache Arrow. It's obviously fast and memory efficient. A lazy execution function chaining. So I think lazy execution is the same as in Spark lazy evaluation. So you can apply different transformations, but if you don't need to read the data, you don't scan the data. That's why it calls lazy transformations. You see, it's the benefit very similar to PySpark in terms of commands and everything, and it can use parallelism and Apache Arrow for the key advantages. Obviously, performance, memory, and everything related to how fast it can process the data. Key features: easy installation, intuitive API, with core computational. So again, that's approach with PyArrow or in DuckDB. You can process the data files bigger than your computer capability. There are some ideas if we're going to compare with, for example, Pandas. Pandas obviously have more features. It's probably the most number of features. Yeah, but the Pandas has limitations performance-wise. PyArrow, it's the data processing library focusing on file formats, memory representation. Polars can use the PyArrow, and I think that one of the key PyArrow benefits is help with efficient data serialization, memory management. The process of serialization and deserialization, it's, for example, then you want to send file over network, and this is the big file. You want first to split this file into small pieces, and then you send it by pieces, then you can collect it back together as a one big file. When we can use polars? Again, like single machine use cases like DuckDB, PyArrow, most of the cases relate to single machine data processing. You have memory constraints, you care about performance. Yeah, just speed, and speed. Limitations, yeah, less features and commands in comparison with Pandas. not ideal for very complex modeling, and looks like not well work with partitions. Maybe it's already improved. And this is just example, the Polars library that we can do. So the first thing what I want to do here, I want to make sure I have Polars library here, and with the Polars, I also want to add IPython as a notebook. Let me quickly ask ChatGPT what's the best way to do it. Where's my ChatGPT? Okay, it's modifying a bit. Reading Polars. And we also can check the version itself. If I go just search Polars, go in GitHub, and here we can see what's the actual version. And this is how we can find the last version. So we just releases. That's probably the latest version, 1.16. So I even can, instead of 1.19, I can try to this one. And yeah, that should be good enough. What else we have here? This is just examples of creating data frame, and this example of data wrangling. And then it's also supporting the SQL. It's indeed very close to the Spark. They also has the CLI tool, and we're able to submit the SQL queries to our data files. This might remind you DuckDB cases. There are so many tools and they overlapping a lot. That's why there is no best tools. It's just first, I think, what you have in your organization already. If you don't have anything, then you can bring what you're comfortable to work. Or if you have the team, you need first to agree with the team what you're going to work and what are the use cases. Because you can, for example, you can use spreadsheet to solve any of your problem, but it's not ideal for some cases. That's why you need to just make sure it's ideal. The performance, right? Com0, require dependency, import time. How fast it's just even importing the libraries. Larger than operation memory data. On this thing, just pip install everything, show versions. And this is open source. I don't know, do they have any commercial one? I know that also Snowflake and Polars. Do they? Oh, no, there's nothing about yet. Because they have Snowpark and Snowflake and using the Snowflake built-in function. I've added those two records here. And now I can try to go into and this is 17. I'm in my here, and now I can do poetry install. I don't know where's my poetry. Oh, I need probably a new one. Okay. It tells me we don't have poetry anymore. But last time we had it. I don't know what happened. Okay, I think that the problem is because I need to add this into my profile. Every time then I open this, right, it should automatically export path for, I don't know, I can try to it here into my profile. And then I can say, I will open a new one, see if I have it. Now it works. Now I can go to here, and now should able to install everything. I think it didn't like the way because if we want to modify the PyProject TOML file by ourselves, I think it just breaks dependency log file with installing everything. Maybe I can just delete it and it will regenerate the file. Because there is a better way if you work with Poetry. I can just run Poetry add library and specify the library, and it will automatically update for me the file. Don't need to modify it manually. Now we can check. I can open IPython. I think, first of all, you definitely need to have some kind of virtual environment, because you usually, what you're building in data, like the same as software engineering, you're gonna sharing it. This is clear, right? To have like some kind of virtual environment. No, you can use your entire environment for your machine, but there could be a couple scenarios. Assuming you don't need to share it with anyone else, but it might happen, and I had this in my past examples, you can install multiple Python libraries and they could went into conflict. I had the issue that I wasn't able to install NumPy. I didn't need NumPy, but one of the DBT or like packages need NumPy is like just additional, and it's couldn't install because it conflicting with some of my another Python package that installed on my machine. The benefit of installing every project in virtual environment or anything, just avoiding those conflicting situation, it causes like dependency hell, and it's exactly the same. The virtual environment, this is the Python feature that you like source activate, and that it has requirements txt file. This is the classic thing to manage dependencies. Poetry, it's exactly the same approach, but instead of creating requirements txt file, you have this PyProject TOML file. And here, honestly, I don't remember the benefits. I just noticed in data teams, especially who works a lot with open source, they prefer using Poetry as a more mature, I don't know, more stable solution. But it's exactly the same, because also there is virtual environment, but there is also, I don't know, there is pip files. It's something I think similar. There is when there is Poetry. There is Conda also, who can manage your environment. And there is also pip, I forgot exactly, it's maybe pip env. So basically, there are so many ways of managing Python dependencies. And yeah, they just pros and cons. I don't think that's really matter. You just need to use one that work for you, and it should be consistent across your organization. The same as like Docker container, right? And also another thing, if I will have my solution in container, instead of running in the Docker file like install of all libraries, I can just copy requirements txt or PyProject TOML file inside the Docker container, and then install all dependency from this. It's also helpful. And okay, if we just ask Poetry, where is Venv? From this, it looks the same, just buzzwords here. That's why just use whatever you like. That's probably the case. If I go back to my README, um, no model Polars. Interesting. And if I open just Python here, and I think we had same idea or same problem with PyArrow. So no model polars. Oh, I know why. Because we did install Poetry, but we did not activate it. It's like the same. When source activate, we need Poetry shell, and it will activate our environment for us. We did, and also maybe I wanted, for example, here, if I go select interpreter, it doesn't see Poetry here. It usually in IDE it can see the when if we're gonna create the virtual environment or the conda, but it doesn't see Poetry, I think. So if I will ask, for example, Python version, and I can also ask another command to see what Python we're using. It's 3.11.9, and you see it's Poetry virtual environments living here. But if I go click here, I don't see it. For example, if I will use Jupyter Notebook, then we start Jupyter Notebook from Visual Code, it asks us to choose Python environment with all the libraries. Version 3.11.9, but this is my macOS default location. And here we see it's 3.11.9, but it's coming from here, and it's not available here. I don't know. Maybe we need to add the path. So for example, we can try to add the path. And I don't know if anything changed for us or not. And maybe we can try to open Jupyter Notebook. So we can select the kernel. It's not able to doing anything. It's a bit of mess. I don't know. Because if I will import Polars from here and see will it work, it asks me to choose the Python library. And if I will choose my default one, wants to install the Python kernel first. It's basically doing completely opposite process, I think. No model Polars. Because ideally, to be able to work with Jupyter Notebook, we should point it to the right location for our packages. And usually we can do it from here. But oh, now it can see it. And let's try. It's not able to start the kernel. I don't know what else it's missing. And you constantly need to go and like troubleshoot it. But this is more convenient, for example, I'm just running IPython here. We have it here, and we try it again. And it tells there's some issues. Interesting. Not easy to start. Then if we want to add to our Poetry file, we need to know their version of this. Yeah, it's 1.16. So, and for example, what we can do also, how to add to the Poetry new library. Oh, I want to modify the file. Oh, we can do this. We adding this and installing. Okay. Or maybe I need to know to import work as this. Okay. So it wants to read some kind of file. So then I can file, for example, then the same file that we're using for document. So I can go here and oh, which one I added? Ah, mhm. Basically, if you would use the Spark, we'll do the same command, Spark read CSV, and then location to the, and also we probably can provide the schema. And then we work with data frames. If you want to modify something or choose different result, we always need to create new data frames. So it's like all the transformations will assign to the new data frame. We couldn't, so the data frame, it's immutable. That's why if you want to do the changes, you assign it to the new data frame. I think this is a common question on interview might be about mutable, immutable objects, and data frame is immutable. I think it doesn't like my file. Maybe I think we need to maybe header. What do you mean by right column names? I think it doesn't like schema or header. Oh, I see. Yes, totally understandable. Yeah. So because this is column, well, yeah, I'm so blindly using ChatGPT, so we can say sales more than 10. We actually can, for example, try print, just do df. This is see that, yeah, that's data frame. It's showing us, and it calling shape. Actually, what is shape in data frame or in Polars language? Shape of data frame, it's like the schema of data frame also, I think. Not exactly. Yeah, that's about polar shapes. Somehow using coordinates. I don't think I can explain what is shape, except it's some kind of coordinates. But let me grab this link and adding it here. Okay, we changing with sales and group by each product category. Yeah, this makes sense. Tells me not able to do group by. Group by column and then aggregation by column. Maybe we need to import maybe like in Spark, if you want to use function, you first need to import them and then you can use them by .act.o. So I need to ask. What's the difference? The difference is that it's using first it's get the call and then apply the function. No. It's so complicated. If this is not working, we can test another guy. The issue was maybe here. Okay. The issue was just in the keyword name. It actually was here in documentation. This is 5 minutes reading documentations will save you 2 hours of debugging. And if I do result, this is my result. Okay. Then I started to look about the difference between Polars and PyArrow, because last time we looked in PyArrow. We can use PyArrow to read by itself. And Polars has way more features to work with data frames. And it also can leverage Apache Arrow. This is probably best practice. Correlations between them. Polars use Apache Arrow as underlying technology, and we can convert from PyArrow to Polars data frames. PyArrow more about memory efficient, Polars about data processing and wrangling. So instead of using PyArrow for computation, we might PyArrow for read-write the data. And basically, it's like you read data in PyArrow memory, then you convert to Polars, do all kinds of transformations, and then you write back PyArrow and save result. That's another example we have. Let's check if it's going to work. Here, we're actually using a Parquet file. And I don't have Parquet right now, but maybe I have it in DuckDB project. Oh no, I don't have it. Maybe I have it. Yeah. This example of Parquet file. Ideally, we want to read this Parquet file and in memories by error. I don't know why it took so long. File is so small. And then we can convert it to Polars data frame, and then we can apply some kind calculations or anything. I can say the filter. And last time we installed a viewer for Parquet file. Yeah, it should be 2. Yeah, okay, that's how it works. And this is another example we have. Don't need this. Here we're gonna use same New York Taxi Parquet file that we're gonna download remotely. And then here, all the same, we will download. This function responsible for downloading the file. This function will read the file as PyArrow table. This function will create Polars data frame. And this is really nice because here, this is how the PySpark work. If you know PySpark, you obviously can know this. If you know this, you can obviously work in PySpark. The only challenge is the use case, because for PySpark or Spark, it's usually for your big data processing. Then you have ETL, for example, instead of DBT, you can read and process your data with like the same data frames. And if you run on everything open source or small data sets and you use the Python for everything, then you have the choice. Okay, do you want to use the pandas? Do you want to use PyArrow? If pandas is very slow for you, then you can explore PyArrow and Polars. I think that's probably the best way. But also at the same time, DuckDB is there with the SQL interface, and you can use the DuckDB. I just yesterday had the interview, and I've got the question about what did I learn recently and why and how I follow the industry. So basically, what did I learn recently? We learned together DuckDB, Polars, PyArrow, and Apache Iceberg. And this is probably the most like up-to-date things happening in the industry. So NKNFM, this is just, oh, it's still the same. I should copy it as a one big function. Yeah, you see, it's a bit. No, what it didn't like, something didn't like. Okay, no, it's like everything. And now the main one, we even don't need it. Okay, just first we downloading file. I don't know why this operation takes so long. The file is just 40 megabyte, and now I have this viewer that can open it. Oh. And then we create arrow table, but we can do the same for the DuckDB. Okay, and then with the polars, and run transformation. Oh, PL count. Yeah, it asks to use PL len. Then I need to recreate the library. We get the same result as usual. The key things here, this is we read Parquet file, and we can convert to Polars. And the good question might be, okay, if you're using Databricks, Apache Spark, if you're gonna start using like, for example, PyArrow or Polars in Databricks, will you get any benefits or not? Definitely won't be worse, but in terms of benefit, I don't know. And this is example without PyArrow. I can import everything, same Parquet file, same operation to download it. But here what we have, we instantly create the data frame with polars on top of our Parquet file. And then we'll do calculations, and this is not change len. So if I just feed it here, and then we can run the function and see result. And yeah, this is, oh, it's saving it as a shape, and this oh, this also shape, because here the polars data frame, this is the polars data frame, and in this example this is also polars data frame, because then we do the transformation using the polars. Advantage of using polars directly: simpler code, native performance optimization, lazy executions, less dependency juggling. Just to highlight what is lazy execution. Lazy API, somehow like instead of line by line, it's running all together. Let me save this link. Okay. And the polars, if we'll talk polar, I think polars can't read Iceberg, as far as I know. Oh, it can. Oh no, maybe it can. I think it can connect. it means, because Iceberg for us means, first of all, it's catalog. It's an endpoint that we want to connect. And the data is storing in Parquet with additional extra metadata files. Looks like the Polars can read directly to Iceberg catalog. It means whenever you have tasks to analyze your data, you can start locally on your machine. For example, you have just CSV and spreadsheet, or you can do more sophisticated analysis. You can use pandas. If you have bigger data sets and pandas is slow, you can either using PyArrow or Polars or together or one of them. Also, you can use the DuckDB if it's going to work with your file extensions. And if you want to build automated solution, for example, you want to run it daily and schedule, then you can use your orchestration tool. For example, Airflow, there you will execute your Python in container. And it will every day you will start new container. This container will have some Python code to read the data, process data, write the data. If this is very big data, then you start thinking about distributed systems. And for example, if you have data warehouse case, it could be Snowflake, could be anything. You can use like Polars, DuckDB, whatever is a processing thing to read and process the data. And I don't think the DuckDB will give you ability to save data somewhere to write. It's more like just to processing the data and save output. But yeah, with Python, with PyArrow, Polars, Pandas, you can read data, transform data, and save data. And your destination usually it's your data warehouse, some kind of databases, and then you connect BI for this. And if in database could be already like distributed BigQuery, Redshift, Snowflake, or you can leverage the data lake approach with your Iceberg catalog. For example, Trino, Athena. But if the data is very big, or you can start using the Apache Spark to do very similar commands. To better understand this, you need to actually do some projects on it. And we have a bunch of projects here. For example, let me first delete this file from here. And we have, this is traditional dbt and Snowflake. So dbt does all transformations inside Snowflake. But first, you need to somehow push the data into Snowflake. And I think here one of the solution was to write the Python code that will read data and upload to Snowflake. But you can use actually those libraries to do this. And you can also, instead of dbt, if data already in Snowflake, you can use Polars, for example, to connect and do transformations. TrinoDB. TrinoDB is a query engine, can just read the data on top of any storage accounts. Could be Iceberg. And you need still something to transform data, and you can use again like Polars, PyArrow. Spark itself can work independently. That's, for example, this project we did with Lambda. The Lambda, it was the service that executed the Python code, and it's executed on Lambda. So, but Lambda has its service that running your Python code, but it might have little memory. I don't know, will it work Lambda with Polars? It's actually a good question. Looks like you can run AWS Lambda inside or Polars inside AWS Lambda. So technically, all the code that we're running here for this project with Arjuna API, we're using pandas, right? But it could be good experiment, but data wasn't big. But instead of pandas, we can use PyArrow and or Polars so together to achieve the same results. So the idea here, you can achieve the same outcome with many different ways. And here, like instead of using AWS Lambda, maybe you want to host Airflow or Daxter or Prefect to run your Python code on schedule, different ways. Yeah. Do you have any questions? No, then we can finish the project.